Hello, everyone. My name is Uzair Hashmi, and I welcome you all to this session where we are going to talk about nanomedicine, and we are going to specifically talk about Erasmus programs, and we are going to talk about what are the careers for scientists, careers in science, and specifically, we are going to dive deep into the careers in nanomedicine. For this, I am very glad that we are currently joined by one of the great professors, Professor Karine from University of Paris. Thank you so much, Professor, for taking out time from your extremely busy schedule. I know it's been a long time since we were planning this, but finally, thank you so much. So without further ado, I'll get started and I'll request you to kindly introduce yourself and talk a little about your affiliations and current research activities.
Thank you very much, User. For me, it's an opportunity to speak about our program. So I'm Karine Andrieux. I'm a professor of pharmaceutical technology in the University of Paris. And I'm researcher in nanomedicine. Especially, I'm interested by the interaction between nanocarriers and biological barriers. For example, the blood-brain barrier, in order to treat Alzheimer's disease or stroke. And more recently, I'm interested to develop nanomedicine for pregnant women in order to treat some disease specific for pregnant women like preeclampsia.
Okay. Thank you so much for this introduction. So, having explained your research activities, I would want to talk a little about passion. So, can you shed some light about what passion means to you, and why it should be important for every professional, and specifically for scientists in our field?
I think to be a researcher, it's necessary to have a passion for research. And it's not so easy, I think, for people, for students at the beginning to be sure that research is a passion for them. And for me, I understand that research is for me, is for my career. It's I understood this when and I explained this to the student, when you wake up in the morning and you want to go to the lab in order to because you are curious of the result of your experiment of the last days, is it's a you have the passion, you want to go into the lab, whatever the day, whatever the weather, you want to go into the lab to see the result because you are curious and you want to discover new things. And in science, it's very important for to discover new organization of the life of the organism, of the body, human body, etc. It's a passion. And also in nanomedicine, especially, we want to find new treatment for people. So it's also an ideal, very enthusiastic, I think.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for this introduction. So we'll directly move towards the nanomedicine program. So can you tell us how this program started, and what is the current goal of this program when we talk about nanomedicine?
In fact, there is not a lot of master program on nanomedicine in France, in Europe, globally, or in the world, because for the moment there is no not a lot of big pharma who work on this subject. It's and for me, it was very important to develop this program on nanomedicine, especially for drug delivery, in order to have more and more people working on this subject, and especially in other countries than in France, where this subject is known. But I think it's very interesting to um, to um, to develop the idea that nanomedicine can be an help to develop new drug delivery systems, and that we can treat all the disease and not only cancer. And I think it's important to have more and more research on the subject.
Okay. So let's then now talk about the structure of the program in a little detail. So how does this program is divided into various parts?
Nanomedicine program, no, or nanomed program, is based on the pluridisciplinarity, because in fact, to be a researcher in nanomedicine, it's necessary to understand topics in chemistry, biology, etc., and physics and physicochemistry. And it's very important for me to open this program to different background for the student, and to have also a researcher, teacher from different expertise. It's very important to do research in nanomedicine, to have this pluridisciplinarity. Sorry, and for this reason, the creation of a program based on 4 different universities it's a chance to have this multiple expertise, in fact, to have a program with the best people, and to be sure to cover all the topics. So the program is based to a mobility between different universities and faculties of pharmacy, because nanomedicine for drug delivery is created at the beginning by pharmacists. And we want to have at the beginning, for the first year, a program dedicated to drug delivery, in order to understand exactly what are the basis basic knowledge on what happens when a drug or a nano carrier is in the body, in the human body, what occurs in fact, the different step, what we must understand about the route of administration. And we begin to speak about the advantage and the application of nanomedicine. And after that, in the second year, we can make a specialization in order to go more for the application, the development of the nanocarriers in industry, the development of the research on this subject, etc. So and we decide also that this program is not only theoretical knowledge. It's also a lot of practicals in drug delivery at the beginning, but also the preparation of nanocarriers like liposome, nanoemulsion, and also we want to develop the different skills, personal skills, but also the for the student to learn how to work in group. We a group of 2, 3, 4 students. We change the number, but also with different background and with different culture. And this corresponds exactly of what happened in the life of the research on nanomedicine, because we have a group with collaboration, international collaboration, and it's very important to recreate the what the manner that the research is done for nanomedicine in the real life for the students. And they learn to do experiment, to analyze experiment, to analyze publication, to be critic for this publication that we can found in the literature, and also to communicate the result, because it's also very important, and also to be to be good in face of a jury to present the result, but also to know the limits of the method that we use, to know that we need other experiment to complete, to be a researcher, in fact.
Right, right. So I think you have beautifully explained how this program plans to produce leaders for future. May they be in the academia or industry. And you have specifically mentioned the arrangements of students into various groups to understand how the practical life would look like. So I think this is one of the great things about nanomedicine program as far as I am concerned, and I find it very fascinating. So, talking about the practical work, I would like you to kindly stress on the two traineeships, one the 3 month and the 6 month traineeship, and how do these traineeship carve these students into a researchers and prepare them for both, either if they want to go for an industry or a PhD.
So we choose to have two internships in this program because it was developed in France to have one internship during the first year of master and another in the second year of master. So we decided for the first internship of 3 months um, to be an opportunity for all the students, whatever their previous experience, practical experience, to have the possibility to do experiments in drug delivery and more in nano carriers, but to be sure that all the students at the end of this first internship is able to do experiment on the subject. So to have the minimum practical knowledge to do experiment after in nanomedicine. So the objective is for the student to be able to perform a bibliography, to understand the method proposed to do the experiment, to analyze the result, and to present it in a workshop using a poster. And and for this first internship, because we can have some students who never have the chance to do a lot of practicals in their previous universities or institutes, we decide that this internship can be in more in or universities of the consortium or universities that we know exactly the ability to help to the student to learn this basic practical knowledge, we can say. Okay, and after that, for the 6-month internship in the second year, after the specialization of the student, we offer to the student to choose to go where they want. They can go in industry, they can go in academic, in university, in public institute, where they want. We just check that the subject of the internship correspond to our program. And we think that it's very important this choice for the student in order to decide of their future career, to have an original experience which can help them to find after the career they want, to go for a PhD, to go in industry, what they want, because the career are very large after.
Right.
The possibilities are very large.
Right, right. So since we are talking about the students and their traineeship, so let's take a different perspective, and I want to ask you that how the consortium selects the students preliminary, and how do they how are they selected for the interview, and followed by how after interview they are finally selected to be awarded the scholarships.
So in the consortium, we have decide the criteria which are very important for the selection of the applicants. So we have the English, the previous score, the motivation later, and the previous practical experience, research experience, and in preparation and production of dosage form. Okay. So all the consortium members have a number of application to read, and for each applicant we have 4 evaluation by one person of one university in the consortium. So for each student we have 4 scores, and we make a mean, and as a function of this we decide for the interview what are the students that we want to interview. And we have discussion at this moment to decide as a function of the score, of this final score. And after that, we perform the interviews, and usually we select between 40 to 50 applicants for the interview for only 15 grants. Okay. Finally, at the end, during the interview, I think what is very important is the motivation of the student, and also if we clearly understand how our program can help the student to construct his or her career plan. Because we are very limited on number, for us it's very important to be sure that the program is can can be useful for the student, can be interesting for him, for her. Okay, because we do not want to have a student that during the program saying us, oh, finally it's not what I think, and finally it's not corresponding to what I want to do. And it's because we are limited in the number of grants that we can offer to the student. What is very important for us is this. So the motivation is and a clear understanding of the applicant of what is the Nanomed program and what it offers. I think it's the more important.
Okay, okay. And what about the recommendation letters, and how are they important in giving an assessment about the student when you are preliminary selecting those students?
So we have two types of recommendation. In fact, we have a first. It's a form to fill, and it corresponds of an evaluation of the academic score of the student for us. It's important because the manner to do the score, the ranking of the student in the university in the world are completely different. And for us, it's not so easy to know if this score corresponds to a good one in this university or not. So for us, this reference form that we give to the student to be filled by a teacher, a professor in their university, is to have an idea that the student has a good rank, and also for us to be sure that with uh, the difficulties to go in another country, in another culture to learn, that for them it's more easy to have the success. Okay, and after that we have a recommendation letter, which are classical recommendation letter from their previous supervisor, for example, of internship or job. And here, what is important is to see if the people doing this recommendation letter has understood the objective of the student to come in our program. And if he succeeds to explain this, for us, it's better to say, oh, I think during the interview, the applicant can explain us this point. So because we use the recommendation later during the first step, for the selection to go to the interview, it's interesting for us to see what is important for the supervisor, teacher, for explaining the objective and what the applicant want.
Right, right. Thank you so much for such an elaborated answer. I hope the viewers would be able to understand this thing better, and they'll be able to understand the importance of institutional form and the recommendation letters. And they talk to their supervisors before applying to this program that this is what they want to do. So it should be specific and a personalized recommendation letter rather than, a generic version of it. So talking about this, let's talk a little about the careers in science and nanomedicine. And so I want to start by asking you this particular question, which I think is very important for students, postgraduates, or even the students who are enrolled in PhD or currently in the final year of their PhD. What, in your experience, have you seen the mistakes that students make while choosing their career in science and nanomedicine specifically? Are they not sure about what they're doing? Like you've mentioned, that you want to be very sure that the students that you're selecting want to pursue a career in nanomedicine. So if we talk broadly, what, in your opinion, have you seen students making mistakes while choosing their career?
In fact, nanomedicine is a large domain, and we are focalized more in drug delivery using nanocarriers, in fact. And for some students, they do not make a distinction between drug delivery and over domain of the nanotechnology. And so for some students, they also have a confusion between drug design and drug delivery, for example. So it's important for us to be sure that they have understood that our program is dedicated to drug delivery using nanocarriers, in fact. And so the idea after for the student is to know how to use nanocarrier for developing new drugs, and they can a lot of them want to go for a PhD in all the countries, not only in Europe. A lot of them try to do it also in United States, and they succeed to obtain grants for PhD in nanomedicine. And for them after, because we are young as a program, so all our students from the first intake do not have finished their PhD. So we cannot speak for them to say what they want to do after. But when they present us their motivation and their career plan, they explain that they want to be a researcher in nanomedicine for drug delivery in their country, in order to develop this as perhaps a researcher or teacher in a university or institute in their country, or because they want to go more in a startup in order, or they want to create startup in this subject of nanomedicine in their country, or also in Europe. Because for the moment, the research in nanomedicine for drug delivery is in startup. Not a lot of big company, pharmaceutical company work on this subject, but they work on nanocrystals, for example, in the big companies. But they have also some people inside their service that are interested to know what happened in the domain of nanomedicine in academic institute, but also in startup. What happens in order to see if there is new thing very interesting to develop. And we can see, for example, the development of the vaccine for COVID pandemic, where there is a collaboration between a little company with a big company in order to to provide the vaccine. So it's exactly like this. What happened for the development of nano carriers. So so we can hope that in the future there is more and more collaboration between startups who create, who design the nano carriers and big pharma that can help to develop it to
Right.
go to human treatment.
Perfect. The topic would go a little off, but I still, because you've mentioned about startups, I would like to just ask one of the things so that the prospective students and the current students have an idea that specifically those who want to pursue their career by initiating their startups, that how much do you think uh, there is a possibility for a student who is a Nanomed graduate to initiate a startup, or do you think that they still require a lot of practical expertise to be able to start it?
In startup, in fact, the idea is to collaborate with other people with different competencies. In fact, we need the Nanomed graduated student can be and perhaps a PhD is more easy to develop the idea to go at the end of the PhD to have the idea to create. Is the researcher that creates the startup at the beginning on the idea, but he needs also the help of other people that are able to organize the feasibility, the creation of this little company. And after, this person needs also different competency to help to develop it. And what is interesting is that because in our program we have the expertise of different people with different background and because it's pluridisciplinary, it's I think more easy for after a researcher in nanomedicine to do this kind of project. It's not so easy, but during my past experience, I knew a student who, at the end of the PhD, decided to create is a startup, and there is some public uh, uh, grants, etc., to help the young researcher to create a startup. But it can be also to join a startup, because sometimes people have the drug, but not the formulation and the knowledge to develop a nano carrier for a drug can be very interesting. So I have for the moment one student of my master of pharmaceutical technology created before Nanomed program, who was in PhD in a startup in order to develop the nano carriers.
Right, right. Yeah. It's an amazing thing to see the current students and the PhDs working more towards developing startups, like you have mentioned. Having said that, what do you think are the factors that a student should keep in mind? What can you enlist two or three factors that are very important? Like you've mentioned, one, a passion should be very important for the students who want to start their career. So what do you think are the factors that a student should consider while starting any career?
I think they must understand that in research we don't know what we are going to find, and even if we do not find what we want, we must after understand that perhaps what we found is a more interesting thing to develop. So to have an open mind, to be also open to other culture, other background, and to think that perhaps at the beginning it's more difficult to work together, but at the end it can give the difference to do something very important. So the passion, but also the open to the other, and to understand that alone we can do nothing in science
Well,
and in research.
I think this is one of the great advice then one could give, that we can't do anything alone, so we need collaboration. So that's pretty inspiring. So moving quickly towards the emerging careers, because nanomedicine is currently evolving field. So can you list some of the emerging career options for students? So the prospective students who might be interested in joining this program, or the current students who are pursuing this program, can benefit from these words of wisdom. What are the emerging careers in nanomedicine?
So I think for the moment, so we speak about career in startup, in academic field as a researcher or teacher, professor, etc. But I think also that, as I explained, in a big company, they want to have some people that have a PhD in nanomedicine in order to understand what happened in the in the startup or in the academic field, in order to know if it's interesting to buy some patent and to for their project. So this is very interesting because there is a position here in big pharma in order to it corresponds to read publication, to go into the scientific congress in order to understand what happened, what is new, what is interesting, what can, and know all, and also it's necessary to know the project that are in the company, to see if there is an adequation. So it's something interesting. It's to make report or concerning the scientific congress, and to visit them, to know what happens, and perhaps to suggest to make a collaboration and to make some alliance. We use this term in France, and so we have also to develop the regulation, the rules to develop nano careers in the future. And in the national or European in all, whatever the country, we need to develop new rules, new regulation to develop this nano career. And so the expertise of specialists of nanomedicine are needed. For example, I was consulted to say what are the good method to measure the size of nanocarriers, for example. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it's not a so easy question to respond. And this question is what the objective was to decide the regulation to say, as in a pharmacopoeia, to say, to measure the size of a nanocarrier, you need to use this method, which are now recognized by pharmacopoeia. And we explain that it's not so easy because there is an evolution and that we need numerous complementary methods to do it. So a method of reference, perhaps it's not the good thing for nanocarriers size measurement. Okay, so and for this we need specialists to help the regulatory affairs to develop the regulation for nanocarrier development. And because there is a new idea, new things at every time. So so I think there is career also in this area.
Right, right. Thank you so much for shedding these light. So I'm going to ask you to kindly share with us what the current, what the alumni, because you've mentioned that it's comparatively a new program, but I would like to share it with our audiences that what are the current alumni who have graduated. I think two batches are graduated. So what are they doing right now?
So you speak about what are going to do the graduated
Yeah.
student. So for the moment, I think we have more than 90% who are in PhD for the moment, I think, and the other are waiting to do it. To do a PhD, I think. We and for example, we also welcome some self-funded students. And for example, one self-funded was funded by the company where pharmaceutical company where he was working, and he came back to the company, but finally in the company they found to him to be an expert in nanomedicine, but they did not propose him finally a career interesting to continue in this topic. So he has them to the possibility to go to a PhD to continue in order to wait for new opportunities in the company after. So is for many countries, but also in Europe, it's not so developed, the network of startup working on nanomedicine with contact alliance with academia and with pharmaceutical companies. So we have a lot of things to do to develop.
Right, right. Having said that, I would just like to have your opinion on the topic before we go towards the conclusion. That, like when we talk about Marie Curie, there are some several Marie Curie nights where the researchers, early stage researchers, they go to the public and they explain what their project is about. Why do you think it's important for the general public to understand the nanomedicines, and how can we benefit from that?
I think at the beginning of the nanomedicine, of the development of nanoparticles, the communication understand me? Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
The connection say it's unstable. No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, the communication about nanomedicine finally was not so efficient because the researcher proposed a dream, a dream that nanomedicine can carry a drug exactly in the tissue that we want. But finally, the research, the result showed that it's not the reality. And what is better to do is to say that for the pharmacist, what is the more important is the benefit-risk ratio. And the benefit-risk ratio decide if you are going to give the agreement for medicine to go to the treatment of human. And in fact, the nanomedicine can improve the benefit-risk ratio. So based on this idea, we can consider that it's an opportunity and a strategy that we must consider. And I think that during a lot of years, we focused to modify the formulation of drug that we know, IP that we know, in order to improve them. But now we see that the success is obtained also for new IP, new drug, as for example for the vaccine for the COVID, because it was the first vaccine with mRNA, and it was rapid to develop, not so expensive to produce, and very efficient, more efficient than the previous strategy of vaccine. So it's the perfect demonstration that now nanomedicine, we must consider it as a strategy of development of new IP.
Right. So how do you think this uh, domain of nanomedicine would expand, provided we have the COVID vaccine that is based on the principles of these nanomedicines that you have talked about?
I think I followed 6 months ago, I think, a presentation of Patrick Couvreur, who is my mentor in nanomedicine, and he made a very interesting presentation explaining the development of this strategy to use nanocarrier in the past and for the future. And he explained that finally, if we compare to new ideas, to the development of new ideas globally in the past, finally, we need some perhaps 30 years to have an evolution of the ideas of the researcher, of people, to agree with new technology, with new things, and to have the to think at every time, perhaps nano carrier design could be a solution for our problem.
Right.
For the moment, in the pharmaceutical company, it's all can be obtained by chemistry. But finally, there is not a lot of discoveries. using this technique. So we must change. We must change our manner to do research and to develop new ideas. And finally, nano careers is a strategy with some success, and perhaps we must consider it as a possibility for all the development of new IP.
Right, right. So I really think that it's very important for us to understand that since I think this is the first vaccine, and I think it's the beginning of the era of vaccines that would be made on nanomedicine. So I hope
And
the
not only vaccine. I think it's interesting here because it's a big demonstration, but because finally with this vaccine, the number of people having received the nano carriers in their body, it's more than all the nano carrier that we can give in the past. And finally, there is no toxicity due to because the big problem of nano carriers for people is the risk of toxicity. So we have the demonstration here. So with vaccine, we have this clear development of the use of nano carriers. But I think for the other, because at the beginning it was only for cancer treatment. Here we have the vaccine, and so we can open to the other treatment.
right. So it's an exciting time to be a nanomedicine researcher, and it's an exciting time to get enrolled in the Erasmus Mundus program for the nanomedicine. And I hope this consortium will be able to evolve as it has to make it more competitive over the period of time. So with this, I would like to thank you, Professor, for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule. And with this, I just want to end this session by seeking your advice for the students who want to go to academia, industry, and lastly, and more importantly, the prospective students who want to join this particular program. What advice would you have? And we'll end the session on
that. So you want advice for people to apply?
Yeah, the prospective students who would be wanting to apply in future, because this is going to be present online for a quite long time, so maybe they'll be willing to hear from the actual people who are going to be responsible for awarding the scholarships from the consortium. So what advice would you give to those students to prepare yourself for this program?
I think to prepare to apply to our program is to, if they think that nanomedicine and drug delivery is interesting for us, is to try to find a first internship in this thematic in order to see if it's sure it's the career that they want. And in this period, it's not so easy due to the difficulties to find internship, to perform it and I think in academic laboratories, there is some opportunity. And I think to do an internship, finally, it's the best manner to be sure of the motivation for people. So I think the best the advice is do a first internship, perhaps very very short, but to see if you think it's for you.
Right. So with this, I thank you again for all your time, for all your advice, and I hope we, as students and the prospective students, would be able to learn from your experience. And I'll just conclude by saying that it's the high time, and some of the students may think that this field is getting saturated because everyone is talking about nano, but believe me, there is a horizon that is awaiting for us to explore it. So I'm pretty sure with the advent of the COVID vaccine and the discussions that we had, there is enormous opportunities for all of us to work in academia, in research and regulation, and in startups. So with this, I would like to end the session, and I hope we were able to discuss some important points that would be helpful for you. So and take care and bye bye.
Take care also, Uzair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.